My dear friends, sometimes life doesn't change gradually. It changes in a single moment, the moment you change your mindset. And the day I discovered this one mindset, my life didn't just improve, it transformed. Immediately, today, I want to share that with you. Because maybe today can be your turning point too. The power of internal ownership is the moment you stop saying, my life is like this because of them, and you start saying, my life is like this because of the choices I made and the choices I will make from today. It is a shift so simple that most people ignore it, yet so powerful that the moment you embrace it, everything in your life begins to move in a new direction. When you blame others, you hand them the remote control of your emotions. They decide when you feel hurt, when you feel angry, when you feel disappointed. But when you take ownership, you take that remote back into your hands. Suddenly, you're no longer waiting for someone to apologize, to change, or to behave differently for you to feel better. You start understanding that your happiness, your growth, and your peace are not gifts from people. They are responsibilities you owe to yourself. Internal ownership means you stop looking at life like a courtroom where someone must be proven guilty for you to feel justified. Instead, you start seeing life like a classroom where every experience is a lesson that helps you rise higher. When someone behaves badly, you don't say, they ruined my mood. You say, I allowed their behavior to disturb my peace. When things don't go your way, you don't say, life is unfair. You say, this is tough, but how I respond right now will shape what comes next. That shift is not weakness, it is strength. Because the strongest person is the one who doesn't let the outer world shake their inner world. When you embrace internal ownership, your mind transforms from a place of excuses to a place of empowerment. Suddenly you realize that if your choices created this life, then your new choices can create a better one. You stop waiting for the perfect moment, the perfect person, or the perfect opportunity. You begin where you are, with what you have, because you understand that change comes from inside out, never outside in. This mindset immediately unlocks confidence. You feel lighter, calmer, more grounded, because you no longer depend on the world to fix your life. You take charge. The moment you take charge, life starts cooperating with you in ways you never imagined. Shifting from why me to what now is one of the most liberating transformations a human being can experience. Why me is a question rooted in helplessness. It keeps you stuck, wounded, and waiting for someone or something to magically improve your life. When you keep asking, why me, you are telling your mind that you are powerless, that life controls you, that everything is happening is to you, not for you. And the more you repeat that question, the more your mind sinks into negativity, anger, and confusion. It becomes a loop, a cycle where your energy drains, your motivation disappears, and your vision becomes blurry. But the moment you shift your question to, what now? Everything changes instantly. It's like switching on a light in a dark room. What now? Doesn't erase the pain, but it gives you direction. It doesn't deny the difficulty, but it reminds you that you still have choices. It moves you from being a victim of circumstances to being a student of life. Instead of feeling attacked, you begin to feel awakened. You start understanding that challenges come not to break you, but to build you. What now? Gives you power because it focuses your attention not on the past, not on the unfairness, but on the next meaningful action you can take. When a relationship hurts you, why me? Keeps you stuck in the past, but what now? guides you toward healing, boundaries, and growth. When your plans fail, why me makes you feel cursed. But what now turns the failure into feedback. When life hits you unexpectedly, why me asks for sympathy. But what now asks for strength. This shift transforms your energy. You start standing taller. You stop drowning in emotions and start swimming through them. You stop complaining and start creating. And the beautiful part is life begins responding to you differently. When you ask, why me? Life stays silent. But when you ask, what now? Life gives you possibilities, ideas, clarity, and courage. This mindset doesn't just change the situation. It changes you. It trains your mind to move forward instead of getting stuck. It prepares you to handle life with wisdom instead of worry. And that is the moment real transformation begins. Not when the problems disappear, but when your attitude toward them evolves. Your response is more important than your circumstances, because circumstances come and go, but your response shapes who you become. Two people can go through the same challenge. One grows, the other breaks. And the difference is not in what happened, but in how they responded. Life will never promise you a smooth path. It will only promise you opportunities to respond with maturity, wisdom, patience, and strength. Circumstances are like storms. They rise suddenly, they shake everything, they create fear and confusion. But the storm is not what decides your future. Your ability to stay steady inside it does. When you understand this, you stop trying to control the outside world and start mastering your inner world. You realize that peace is not found in perfect situations, but in powerful responses. You can be standing in the middle of chaos and still feel grounded if your inner response is rooted in clarity. You can be surrounded by negativity yet remain untouched if your response is guided by emotional discipline. It's not the insult that hurts you, it's the way you respond to it. It's not the failure that destroys you, it's the story you tell yourself after failing. It's not the delay that frustrates you, it's how you choose to perceive that delay. The external event is only 10%, your response is the remaining 90%. When something unpleasant happens, most people react instantly. They allow anger, fear, ego, and insecurity to take control. But those who transform their lives pause for a moment and choose a response that aligns with who they want to become, not who the situation is trying to turn them into. That pause is power. That moment of awareness is everything. It allows you to think, to breathe, to understand, to respond, not emotionally, but intentionally. And intentional responses are what build emotional intelligence, strong relationships, inner peace, and a successful future. Imagine every difficult situation as a test the universe gives you, not to punish you, but to elevate you. Every time you respond with patience instead of anger, you grow. Every time you respond with wisdom instead of impulse, you win. Every time you respond with calmness instead of panic, you rise. This is how life transforms, through small, conscious responses repeated again and again. When you master your response, no situation can control you. You become unshakable. People may behave unpredictably, life may throw challenges, plans may fail, but your inner world remains centered. That is true strength, not the ability to control life, but the ability to control yourself. And when you reach that stage, your life begins to reflect the stability, clarity, and peace you carry within. Focusing on what you can influence is one of the most freeing and empowering decisions a person can make. Most of the stress people carry in their minds comes from worrying about things that they cannot control. People's opinions, someone's behavior, the past, the future, outcomes, that haven't even happened yet. When your mind gets trapped in these uncontrollable areas, your energy drains, your peace disappears, and your clarity becomes foggy. It's like trying to push a wall, hoping it will move. No matter how hard you try, the wall stays the same, but you end up exhausted. The moment you shift your focus from what's outside your control to what's inside your control, you unlock a different level of mental freedom. You realize that while you cannot control how others treat you, you can control how you respond. You cannot control what life throws at you, but you can control how prepared, how calm, and how mentally strong you remain. You cannot control the uncertainty of the future, but you can control the effort you put in today. And when you stay rooted in these controllable actions, life starts feeling lighter, more manageable, more peaceful. When your mind constantly chases the uncontrollable, it becomes restless. But when it focuses on what it can influence, it becomes powerful. For instance, you cannot control whether people like you, but you can control your character. You cannot control whether an opportunity comes, but you can control your readiness for it. You cannot control the delays life gives you, but you can control whether you grow during the waiting. This shift turns you from a prisoner of circumstances into the creator of your destiny. Think about how much mental space gets consumed by worrying about things that aren't even yours to handle. When you release that burden, you suddenly have time and energy for things that truly matter. Improving your habits, strengthening your mindset, nurturing your relationships, growing your skills, finding inner peace. Your life begins to move forward because your mind is no longer stuck in battles it cannot win. Focusing on what you can influence is not escapism, it is wisdom. It teaches you to stop fighting with the world and start working on yourself. And here's the beautiful truth. When you change yourself, your world begins to change automatically. People respond differently to you. Challenges become manageable. Stress reduces. Confidence grows. You start living with intention instead of reaction. This mindset is like choosing sunlight over shadows. The shadows still exist, but your attention is on the light. And wherever attention goes, energy flows. So when your attention is on what you can influence, your thoughts, your actions, your attitude, your decisions, you become stronger, calmer, and more capable of shaping a meaningful life. This is how inner power is built, not by controlling the external world, but by mastering the internal one. Replacing complaints with gratitude is one of the most profound shifts you can make in your inner world, because complaints drain your energy while gratitude multiplies it. When you complain, you focus on what is missing, what is wrong, what is unfair. This mindset creates heaviness inside you. It makes even small problems feel big and small blessings feel invisible. Complaining trains your brain to look for flaws, to exaggerate negativity, and to ignore anything that is going right. Over time, it becomes a habit, automatic, unconscious, and emotionally exhausting. You start believing life is always against you, even when life is quietly supporting you in 100 small ways. But when you replace complaints with gratitude, everything within you begins to shift. Gratitude doesn't magically erase difficulties, but it changes the lens through which you see them. Instead of saying, nothing is working, you begin to notice the things that are working. Instead of saying, I have nothing, you become aware of what you already have that many people in the world are still praying for. Gratitude awakens you from the illusion that life is only made of problems. It helps you see that life is also filled with gifts, some loud, some silent, some hidden, some obvious, but all valuable. Gratitude brings you back into the present moment. Complaints keep you stuck in what you lack. Gratitude reminds you of what you've been given. Complaints create a mindset of scarcity. I don't have enough. Gratitude creates a mindset of abundance. I have more than I realized. And this shift affects your relationships, your work, your peace, your sleep, your energy, your confidence, everything. It changes the emotional climate inside you. Suddenly, the same life that felt dull starts to feel meaningful. You begin noticing the simple blessings, breathing without effort, having food to eat, having people who care, having a chance to try again, having a body that still cooperates with you, having a new day to grow. Gratitude turns these ordinary things into miracles. It teaches your mind that even if life isn't perfect, there is still so much to appreciate. The beautiful part is that gratitude doesn't just stay as a feeling, it transforms into strength. When you practice being grateful, you become mentally tougher. Why? Because gratitude makes you realize that even in difficult times, you're not empty-handed. You have lessons, resilience, support, hope, and the ability to rise again. Gratitude builds emotional immunity. It protects your mind from collapsing under pressure. And slowly, the complaints that once felt natural begin to fade. They lose power. You find yourself reacting differently to life. Instead of saying, "Why is this happening to me?" you start saying, "What is this teaching me?" Instead of getting irritated by what's missing, you feel thankful for what's present. Even challenges feel less threatening because your heart is full, not hollow. Gratitude doesn't change the world around you, it changes you. And when you change internally, the world begins to feel kinder, brighter, and more supportive. Life may not become perfect, but it becomes peaceful. And that peace grows from the simple daily decision to choose gratitude over complaints, abundance over scarcity, and appreciation over frustration. Choosing progress over perfection is one of the most liberating mindsets you can adopt, because perfection is a trap that keeps countless people frozen in place, while progress is a pathway that moves you forward, step by gentle step. Perfection whispers in your ear that you must have everything figured out before you begin. It tells you that you should not make mistakes, that you should always know the right decision, that you should never fail, never stumble, never look imperfect. And because this standard is impossible, most people never even start. They wait and wait and wait, believing that perfect moment will come, the perfect clarity will appear, the perfect confidence will magically develop. But life doesn't reward perfect preparation, life rewards consistent movement. Progress, on the other hand, invites you to start where you are, with what you have, in the condition you are currently in. It doesn't demand perfection, it demands honesty, effort, and willingness. When you embrace progress, you realize you don't need to know the entire path, you just need to take the next step. That one step builds momentum. That momentum builds confidence. And confidence builds transformation. Slowly, steadily, your life starts changing, not because you made one perfect move, but because you made many imperfect moves that kept pushing you forward. Perfection is an enemy disguised as a friend. It convinces you that you're just being careful, just being cautious, just wanting the best. But behind that disguise, it holds you back from growth. It makes you fear judgment. It makes you fear failure. It makes you fear being seen as not good enough. And those fears freeze your potential. When your mind is trapped in perfection, even small tasks feel heavy. You hesitate, procrastinate, and overthink until the task becomes larger than life. But when you choose progress, the weight lifts. You start celebrating movement instead of waiting for mastery. You understand that all great things were once small and imperfect. Every expert began as a beginner. Every strong person started weak. Every successful person made countless mistakes before succeeding. Progress teaches you that mistakes are not signs of incompetence. They are signs of growth. They show that you are trying, learning, evolving. Choosing progress also rewires your relationship with failure. Instead of seeing failure as the enemy, you begin to see it as feedback. You stop asking, "What if I mess up?" and start asking, "What will I learn when I do?" This mindset keeps your heart open, your ego humbled, and your mind curious. You become someone who is not afraid to try again, because progress reminds you that improvement comes through repetition, not perfection. Something beautiful happens when you embrace progress. Your self-esteem rises. You feel proud of yourself, not for being flawless, but for being courageous. You feel alive because you are moving. You feel motivated because every little step proves to you that change is possible. Progress creates hope, real, grounded hope, because you can see yourself growing bit by bit. And the most powerful truth is this: perfection is a destination you will never reach, but progress is a journey you get to enjoy every day. Choosing progress means choosing patience with yourself. It means allowing yourself to evolve, to make mistakes, to grow at your own pace. It means appreciating your journey instead of punishing yourself for not being further ahead. Life becomes lighter the moment you stop chasing perfection and start embracing progress. That is where real transformation lives. In the quiet, consistent steps you take, not in the impossible standards you try to meet. Progress makes you unstoppable because it teaches you that forward is forward, no matter how slow, no matter how small. And as long as you keep moving, you are winning. Stopping, overthinking, and starting. Overliving is a mindset shift that can completely transform how you experience life. Because most people spend more time living inside their minds than in the real world. Overthinking is like a heavy fog that clouds perception, drains energy, and traps you in endless loops of worry, doubt, and hesitation. It turns small decisions into mountains, minor challenges into crises, and ordinary moments into sources of stress. When you overthink, you replay conversations that already happened, anticipate outcomes that may never arrive, and imagine fears that are often worse than reality. Your mind becomes a prison, and every thought builds another wall around your joy, peace, and freedom. Overliving, on the other hand, is about stepping out of that fog and immersing yourself fully in the present moment, in the experiences that life is offering right now. It is about choosing to engage with life directly rather than through the lens of worry. Living means feeling the sunshine on your face instead of analyzing the clouds. It means laughing with someone without mentally rehearsing what could go wrong. It means savoring your meal without thinking about calories or consequences. It means listening to people fully instead of planning your response while they speak. Life is happening in this very moment, and living allows you to participate in it rather than being trapped in the loops of your thoughts. When you overthink, you live in what ifs and buts and should haves, but these mental rehearsals do not change reality. Living acknowledges the uncertainty, the unpredictability, and the imperfection of life, yet it chooses engagement, action, and presence. You begin to see that nothing outside of this moment matters more than how fully you are living it. Decisions that used to feel paralyzing now become opportunities to act. Moments that used to feel stressful now become experiences to learn from. Relationships that used to feel complicated now become spaces to connect deeply because you are no longer distracted by fears or imagined judgments. Overliving also teaches resilience. Life will always bring difficulties, unexpected challenges, and disappointments. Overliving doesn't ignore these problems, but it refuses to let them dominate your inner world. Instead of overanalyzing what went wrong or predicting what could go wrong, you respond with presence, clarity, and calm action. You learn to trust yourself and trust the flow of life. Your energy shifts from mental exhaustion to purposeful engagement. You stop being a spectator in your own life and start being an active participant, fully aware and fully involved. This mindset transforms happiness too. When you live inside your mind, happiness feels distant, fragile, and conditional. When you overlive, happiness becomes accessible, abundant, and immediate. Every small joy, a conversation, a walk, a moment of silence, becomes a source of fulfillment. You realize that life's richness is not in perfection or control, but in presence. Overliving teaches you that the best moments are not planned, but lived, not analyzed, but felt, not postponed, but embraced. Ultimately, moving from overthinking to overliving is about reclaiming your time, your energy, and your freedom. It is about choosing action over worry, presence over mental chaos, and life over mere survival. It allows you to experience your days fully, to love deeply, to work passionately, and to grow continuously. Life is happening now, and the more you overlive it, the more you realize that your mind was never the master. It was just a tool. When you put it in its proper place, life becomes vibrant, meaningful, and extraordinary. Valuing people over moments is a mindset that has the power to completely reshape how we live and connect with the world around us. Most of us live as if life is made up of achievements, experiences, and milestones, moments that we chase, capture, and often measure our worth against. We think that the perfect vacation, the ideal job, the biggest success, or the most exciting adventure will bring fulfillment. But the truth is, these moments are fleeting. They shine brightly for a while and then fade into memory. People, on the other hand, the relationships we nurture, the connections we build, the love and trust we share, these last far beyond any temporary achievement. They create the real texture and depth of life. Valuing people over moments is the conscious decision to prioritize connection, understanding, and care over the endless pursuit of experiences or accomplishments. When you focus too much on moments, you risk missing the people who are part of those moments. You may be so busy trying to capture or perfect an experience that you forget to truly see and appreciate the people beside you. Birthdays, celebrations, achievements, even vacations, they are only meaningful because someone shares them with you. A sunset watched alone may be beautiful, but a sunset shared with someone you love becomes unforgettable. When you start prioritizing people, you begin to notice the small gestures, the silent support, the laughter, and even the tears that weave the real story of your life. You start understanding that life is less about what happens and more about who it happens with. Valuing people over moments also changes the way you respond to conflicts and challenges. When someone you care about disappoints you or makes a mistake, a moment-focused mindset might say, "This ruins the memory," or "This ruins the experience." But a people-focused mindset understands that relationships are long-term investments, not single events to judge worth by. You become more patient, more forgiving, and more willing to nurture the bond rather than dwell on the temporary disruption. You understand that a single moment does not define a person or a relationship, but the consistent care, love, and presence over time do. This mindset deepens empathy and compassion. When you value people over moments, you listen more, judge less, and prioritize understanding over instant gratification. You become more attentive to emotions, needs, and feelings. You start seeing others not as part of the scenery of your life, but as co-creators of your journey, each one shaping and enriching it in their unique way. This shift fosters trust, loyalty, and a profound sense of connection that no fleeting moment can ever replace. Furthermore, prioritizing people over moments teaches humility. It reminds you that you are not alone in your journey and that the value of life cannot be measured by experiences alone. True richness comes from human connection, from hearts meeting hearts, from shared growth, shared struggles, and shared joys. Moments may thrill, excite, or entertain, but people sustain, support, and transform you. When life ends, it is not the collection of moments that you remember most. It is the people who stood by you, loved you, inspired you, and touched your heart. Valuing people over moments also changes the way you invest your energy. Instead of chasing every opportunity for excitement or recognition, you focus on nurturing relationships, being present, and creating meaningful bonds. You realize that a single conversation, a word of encouragement, a gesture of kindness can leave a far deeper impact than any event, achievement, or milestone ever could. Your life becomes richer, warmer, and more fulfilling because you are no longer measuring it in fleeting experiences, but in enduring connections. Ultimately, when you value people over moments, your perspective on life shifts profoundly. You start living with intention, compassion, and love. You see that happiness is not a collection of perfect experiences but a tapestry woven from the relationships you cultivate. Moments may sparkle, but people shine, and when you cherish them above all else, life becomes not just livable, but meaningful, vibrant, and deeply rewarding. You realize that in the end, it is the people who shape your story, not the fleeting moments you try to hold on to.